From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hujavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, thoughts from Jacksonville, the Zaxby's Indescribably Good Player of the Week, and the remaining questions from the Renegade Express mailbag. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Come on over. Find out why we say that. It's only $1 still. I'm not sure how long this thing is going to go, but it's time to sign up if you haven't already. It's only $1 for an entire year. One credit card payment. $1, 365 days of access to Warchant.com. You cannot beat it. Thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube. Maybe a 5-star rating and review on your Apple device. That would be super cool. And we are presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. They're in Tallahassee. CPTallybar.com is a website. If you see that QR code, that funky-looking barcode thing that's a square, pull out the phone, camera app it, boom, takes you to the website. You can find out the daily lunch special, but I'll tell you right now, it's make your own burger. Build your own burger. Angus beef in this burger, everybody. Daily lunch specials, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., only $8.99 every single weekday over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. How was the music this weekend, Corey? Were you able to swing by, take it in?
Yeah, they had some Friday night and Saturday night. Yeah, you know, it's Corner Pocket. It's always going to be solid. The Friday night guys, I heard a lot more of them than I did. Saturday night was just the tail end because you know I was busy Saturday night, Aslan.
Oh, that's right.
As
we all
were you. Yeah. So I missed most of that one, but Friday night those guys were good, man. Played all the hits, all the things you'd want to hear. A little happy hour live music, man. That's how they do it at CP. And Tuesday, so tomorrow is trivia. Won't be hosting this time, but we'll be playing and trying to win.
Maybe at the end of this podcast, Corey can tell you all about his phone fiasco from Friday.
Oh, man, I was going to lead with it. From Friday, buddy, that dragged into Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to the end of the show. It's football season's nearly here.
I mean, I'm still not right from it. I'm still trying to process what happened. It's a tough one. It's
all right, go ahead and work through it so you don't hold us back for the rest of the show. So everybody knows Corey, good father, gets a new phone for his son, also gets a phone for himself. But the phone gets physically delivered to Atlanta, to the home of his ex-wife,
yes,
which is where Brady stays when Corey's not in Atlanta. Corey, meanwhile, is in Jacksonville, Florida, on his phone, doing the good thing, calling, trying to get everything set up, and then everything just goes sideways.
Yeah, so I tried. Brady's SIM card would not work. His phone would not transfer from his old phone to his new phone. And since it's on my account, his mom couldn't make the change, and they said you have to call AT&T. The people at the Apple store and the AT&T store said you have to call AT&T and do it. All right, fair enough. So I call. I'm on hold. Aslan, you were there. We're getting ready to go to dinner Thursday night. I'm talking to a nice woman. Somewhere out there in the world.
Not Patricia. You don't like Patricia.
Well, she seemed nice, but I'll never forget her. But yeah, in the middle of our conversation, I've explained to her again, I want my son's phone activated. It's this number, not my number, not the 678 number. It's this other number. And then she puts me on hold, and then all of a sudden I lose her. Gone. Nothing. Just the phone call ended. I'm like, well, that's weird. Tried to call back, nothing. Realized that she deactivated my SIM card in my phone. And if you thought it would be easy just to call and get your phone reactivated from AT&T, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but it was a nightmare for 36 hours. Couldn't call, couldn't get texts, could only text on wireless from my iCloud account, not from Corey Clark. Went on forever. Had my ex-wife ship down my phone. I was just going to go up there when I wasn't in a hurry to get my new phone, but now my current phone wasn't working, so I'm like, well, let me get my new phone. So I had Shanna overnight that to me for $80. Oof. Got it. Tried to call AT&T again. Synced it all up with my old phone. Still didn't have any data. SIM card still didn't work. AT&T still told me that we can't do it. The only way we have to send you a PIN code to your phone. I'm like, you understand my phone doesn't work. You guys deactivated. I can't in the email address I signed up for my Apple phone in 2008, I no longer have. So I don't have access to that email. Can I give you another email? Yes, but it will take 30 days before that becomes your active email. Oh. So yeah, because of fraudsters, because apparently there are people out there that want to pay my data plan for me. But anyway, so I finally go to the AT&T store, get a new phone, feel good about it. Finally.
So what, another phone? So another new phone?
No, sorry, not a new phone. I got a SIM card.
Okay.
He gives me a new SIM card. It goes in there. Everything's fine. Feel good. 36 hours of heartbreak and heartache and anguish is all over. And then when I get home, I drop the phone in the driveway and crack the screen. And so Sunday I spent going to a couple of different, phone repair places, and finally got a new screen. Cost me about $200.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yep, $220 on top of the $80 that I spent for the overnight. So all of that cost me as much as the entire phone did. And it was kind of, I want to be honest, it's AT&T's fault. I wouldn't have had to overnight the darn thing. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's not their fault it slipped out of my hand. But still, it was a nightmare, folks. I'm over it. Brady's phone works. My phone works. I feel good. New screen. After cracking mine after 90 minutes, which is probably a record to crack your screen, but now we're back. I'm calming down, and I'm back into. I literally almost cried, Aslan, when I dropped the phone. Oh, that's right, because I hadn't even gotten the phone reactivated yet, so I still hadn't gone to the AT&T store yet. That happened before I went there, and it was just like another AT&T person telling me, "We can't do it. We give you 30 days with your new email, but we can't send you this pen. Can you just tell it to me over the phone? No, we have to send it to you." And as I'm getting off the phone with her, the phone cracks on my driveway, shatters pretty good, and I almost broke down in tears. But I was calm. I walked into the house. I was calm. Stephanie was already in there. She didn't even know anything was wrong. I was just one of that quiet calm, not the screaming calm, and not. I was quiet mad, not screaming mad, and but it all worked out, man. It all worked out.
Cool.
First world problems, am I right?
Well, the cool part was Corey had been waiting forever, and then he finally gets through. And then apparently AT&T cannot reactivate a SIM card after 9 p.m.
Yes.
So that put a damper in that.
And Aslan, you got to hear the whole thing, because I talk on speakerphone in the car so I can hear, and so Aslan heard the whole conversation, heard all of it, Lady was supposed to call me back on Friday. Gets in at 2:30, but there's a mandatory meeting, but she's putting it in her notes. She's going to call me as soon as she gets in. I'm like, well, skip the meeting. And she goes, I'm going to skip the meeting. I'm going to see what I can do for you as far as getting you a discount and a rebate. I apologize for all this. I'm going to call you first thing when I get in to my Houston offices at 2:30 Central Time, and never heard from her. So it all worked out, everybody. But hey, AT&T for life. Am I right?
I have AT&T, and they did me really solid here. So, but I do feel your pain. I was there for it. And also the funny part of it, too, is he was on his girlfriend's phone, Stephanie, and, he's like, what's the number? And, she had to give him the number to the phone. Corey doesn't even know his girlfriend's number off the top of his head. And then,
well, she said my phone is girlfriend.
Well, meanwhile, she's reciting his number off the top of her head multiple times, his date of birth, doing all these security checks.
That's crazy, right? Yeah. It's kind of odd that she knew my cell phone number that quickly. Yeah. I'm just in her. When was the last time she dialed my cell phone once in her life? Right. She just hits Corey. Yeah. So it's crazy that she would know my phone number. Anyway, let's get on to Florida State football.
All right, they're wrapping up that 2-day minicamp at Jacksonville. They scrimmage on Saturday. They actually have today off as well. Thank you, Mike. They had Sunday off, too. They'll get back on Tuesday. This is the last week, man. This is the last week of camp, and then they're going to go into game week preparation. We were not able to watch Saturday's practice, but we were able to speak to Mike. I'm sorry, scrimmage, correct. But we were able to speak to Mike Norvell, as well as Adam Fuller, then John Papuchis, and then Alex Atkins close us down on Saturday night. What stood out to you, per usual? That's how we do on this show. What was your takeaways, Corey?
I guess, again, maybe, because I don't remember, Johnny, it was Deuce Spann that had the big scrimmage the first time, right?
I think so. Oh.
And then this is Johnny Wilson. He was mentioned right away from Norvell, said he had a couple of big plays. Might have heard from a birdie that was at that scrimmage that he had a very big play in that scrimmage. And also Adam Fuller talked about how I guess there was a jump ball between him and Duke Cooper, and Johnny Wilson won the battle. Fuller brought that up. He's like, look, and I don't know if that was a jump ball or a deep shot. Don't really know. Didn't see it. But he said 3 hands got on the football, and Johnny Wilson had 2 hands, and he ripped it away. And he goes, the day before, Duke Cooper won that battle, or won a similar type ball. So he was talking in the context of the back and forth between the offense and the defense. But Norvell mentioned it. Norvell mentioned Johnny Wilson, said he showed up again big. And then Fuller saying what he said about that play. It's like, okay, well, that's good to hear, right? It transferred over. again, they weren't in Doak because maybe, hey Mike, maybe don't schedule them for 7:00, man. I don't know. Maybe that's when storms roll through. I was thinking about that too, Aslan. What are the odds that there's some sort of delay for a 5:00 kickoff in August in Tallahassee?
Somebody on the board was talking about that. They're like, I said when the schedule came out, I didn't like having a mid-afternoon game in August. It's not a good idea. That would be a bummer, but they're ready for it, though, right? They're prepared.
Well, yeah, heck, yeah. Maybe they'll play Duquesne in the IPF. They'll crush them in there. But, yeah, so they had to go in the IPF again. Norvell seemed genuinely bummed about that. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, maybe do it at noon. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that delay that's coming for the Duquesne game because it's 6:00 in Tallahassee. Come on. So that just Johnny Wilson transferring that over now, and my point being, he didn't do it under the lights, quote unquote. He didn't do it in the stadium on Bobby Bowden Field, but he still did it in a scrimmage live game. We're tackling this all counts situation, and again, just good to see him stacking it on top. Now the next step for him is to do it against Duquesne. I know you can roll your eyes at that, but make some big plays against Duquesne, have a good game, nice game, and then stacking them on that as you go through the rest of the season. But I think the fact that they did hit some big plays offensively, but it sounds like overall the defense probably won again is kind of the vibe I got. But also that they made a point of Jordan Travis only playing a few series. Norvell said that afterwards that they wanted to give Rodemaker and Duffy a chance to work with the first group more, which again, not that we thought there was a QB controversy, not that there should be a QB controversy or a real battle, but I mean, I think that obviously cements it that they know who their starter is. Not that we didn't know that anyway, but I thought that was telling that it's like, okay, Jordan's had a good camp. He's done some really good things. Let's let him get a couple series, get his beak wet a little, and then let the other two guys finish out the scrimmage.
Crazy how quickly time goes, right? Last year he was still young, according to his offensive coordinator. Now he's old enough that he doesn't even have to really scrimmage the entire time. Like, he's got enough reps under his belt. Let's look at these other guys, which, like, I don't need to see A.J. Duffy running anything team anymore, really. I mean, this needs to be Jordan and Tate, Tate and Jordan and Tate. But they'll do what they want to do. So that's that. What stood out to me was Alex Atkins saying that he put Kanaya Charlton in with the ones. He put him in with the ones, everybody. Yeah. And then John Papuch is talking about there is really no kicking competition, more or less. He thinks that Ryan Fitzgerald has had a really good camp, so they'll be rolling with him because obviously he was their kicker last year and he's having a good camp. So I haven't, I'm not a kicking guru. I'm not Mr. Cole. I don't have a kicking camp. Felt like maybe there would be a door open in the kicking situation, but apparently there isn't. So that's that. And then they do span. That's like a legitimate kick return sort of weapon. Him, Sam McCall, Trey Benson.
It was him, Sam McCall, and Trey Benson. That's who Papuch has said, right?
Yeah, and then
a punt returner. I mean, we think it's going to be Micah, but then he also mentioned Sam McCall and that here. Yeah, that too, right?
Keyshawn Helton as well.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, like and why would you? I always say that. It's a verbal crutch that I keep reiterating or keep uttering is at these practices. There's usually 6-7 guys catching kickoff returns, and there's no real rhyme or reason to what we see. Like they work on it a little bit, but they're more working on all these guys catching the ball, placement of the kicks, the dudes up front blocking. We don't see them do anything live. Like, hey, they're actually going down there and trying to tackle. They're actually trying to block and be physical. So that's why what Papucha said I thought was telling because we didn't know. We didn't know for sure who they liked there. But why? How could we know? Because we don't see them get real reps, like real return reps, other than that they only do that in the scrimmages. And they did that a handful of times Saturday. They did that a handful of times the Saturday before. So it seems like Deuce Spann will certainly be one of the guys back there on kick return. We'll see who the other guys are. I would be very surprised if Pittman doesn't get the majority of the reps with punt return. But yeah, they got some other options back there as well.
Last thing for me, I buried the lead, I think, Corey. It's got to be pretty good if you're a Florida State fan to hear the defensive coordinator compliment the play of your quarterback, right? And it wasn't one of those like, Jordan's doing really good. I mean, Adam was quite effusive in his praise, I feel like, talking about his accuracy. Not talking about the scrambling, but the accuracy of the throws. So that's got to make you feel a little bit good if you're a Florida State fan, right, coming out of your second scrimmage?
Yeah, and I think just the way he talked about the receivers in general, or the passing game in general, and how it's so much more competitive. Now, he didn't say it's so much more competitive than it was last year, but he did talk about how competitive it is, which maybe that wasn't the case last year. I mean, we all know what they were doing last year, wide receiver. It wasn't great. So yeah, he talked a lot about Johnny Wilson and just those guys high pointing balls, being really competitive and aggressive, and when you talk about, he would know. He goes up against Jordan Travis every day, and there are days where, like, a couple times last week where Jordan Travis just plays really well, and there's not a whole lot you could do as a defense, especially when you're not allowed to hit him. But as he talked about, he also said we all know what he can do with the ball in his hands, like with his legs. But he's like he's really done a good job, and he's been a really good job of ball placement, like you just said, Aslan, and hitting big plays in the passing game, and he's been really efficient. And he said he's had a really good camp, and he was really effusive in his praise, and that is good. Let's see it carry over. Again, it would be weird if he said, well, I don't know, man. I don't know what they see in that 13. Like, he's not going to be derogatory.
He volunteered it. I feel like I don't think anybody was like, hey, how's Jordan Travis been this camp, coach,
Yeah, but he was asked about the wide receivers. He's like, the wide receivers are good. Our wide receivers are good. And then he added the Jordan Travis. Like, I've really been impressed with Jordan Travis. So, that's all a good sign. It really is. And I think what we've talked about is the truth. Like, there is a real back and forth. Last year, there wasn't. Last year, and I know it's hard to believe when you remember how the defense played to start last season, but they pretty much dominated, didn't they, Aslan, the August?
Yeah, they couldn't do anything. It was jailbreak sort of stuff. So it's different. Trust us, hopefully.
The clutch shot, the biggest hits. It's time for the Zaxby's Indescribably Good
Player of the Week.
You heard the man. Time for the Zaxby's Indescribably Good Player of the Week. We are 12 days away from the opener, so let's pay homage to one of the favorite 12s of some of the Florida State fans. How about a guy named Thad Busby, everybody? Let's go to 1997, November 1st, shall we? Fantastic day for your guy from Pace. He goes 26 for 36, Corey, against North Carolina State. 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, 463 yards, and a back-and-forth shootout. Not really a back-and-forth shootout. NC State came on strong in the second half, but Florida State put 27 points up in the first half in a 48-35 win. That's probably the best performance from a number 12, in my opinion. You throw for 463 and 5 touchdowns in an ACC win back when we used to put up 4 touchdowns on a team in the first quarter. That Busby shout-out.
I'm going to go with another number 12, right around the same time, a little bit before Thad got there. I'm going with Matt Fryer. And I'm not going with the game. A lot of people remember him from the Miami game.
Yes.
That long touchdown catch he had where he outran Rohan Marley. Great play by Charlie Ward. But I'm going to the 93 Florida game. And most people remember that for work done and that play he made at the end. But my man Matt Fryer in that game, Aslan, 11 catches for 126 yards. He had 11 catches, my man. I feel like they were all first downs. I mean, that's the thing about Charlie Ward, man. He'd take what you gave him. And if they're going to give you a 7-yard out, well, man, he's going to take 7 yards. And Matt Fryer, 11 catches in that game for 126 as Florida State advanced to the national championship game with that big win in the Swamp.
We were 12 days away from the season, everybody. Thad Busby, Matt Fryer with some great all-time performances. Zaxby's Indescribably Good performances. Those are our picks for the week. All right, if you thought we were maybe a little bit lean on football talk in the first half of the show, it's okay. We get it, but get ready. We're coming with it. It's a Renegade Express, all the leftover questions, which, again, we're going to probably just do like some sort of 4-hour window. We'll open up on Wednesday morning and then get them in because we can't do 40. We love it, though, but we just can't do it because it's crazy. You guys don't want to wait all this time to hear your question be read. But anyhow, it's random_John. Good morning, guys. Looking at the timestamps of these questions, I have to ask if everyone works at night court with Judge Harry Stone, Christine Sullivan, Dan Fielding, and Bull. I ask because, like a normal human being, I go to bed and I actually fall asleep. Was I supposed to get a free bottle of caffeine pills with my $1 subscription to the best site covering FSU, a.k.a. Warchant? For I do not see any 2 a.m. posts in any future for me. Now to my FSU-centric question. I've heard Corey say multiple times that he felt last year's team was really a 6 or 7 win team. I've also heard the staff talk about how much better FSU is this year than last. If we are so markedly improved over Corey's 6 and 7 win team, what then is the reason Corey says now we should only be good enough for 8? Either we are much better than last year or we are only slightly better than last year. What gives? Are we much better or are we slightly better?
It's a fair question. I would say the schedule. I think or it's not at LSU, but LSU and New Orleans, at Miami, at NC State, Wake Forest, Clemson, Florida. I just think that's a tougher schedule than we thought they were going to have last year.
Well, Florida's always on the schedule. Those teams are always on the schedule. But wait, we thought maybe those quarterbacks weren't going to come back. Those quarterbacks.
I didn't think. Well, I mean, Louisville. Like, I didn't think Louisville was going to be very good last year, and they weren't. But they should be better this year, and they were. That quarterback is better than I thought he was at this time last year. Again, I just think that they're going to be good enough where they should be in every game. Get lucky and win 2/3 of those games, and you're going to get to 8 wins. And I don't even say lucky. It's not luck. You go win these games. It's not just like the football gods said, well, you couldn't convert that 3rd down because your time was up. You'd already converted 3 in a row. You couldn't convert another one. But I don't think that they have I just think that this schedule, knowing what that quarterback with Miami is, I mean, they play a lot of good quarterbacks, man. I think the quarterback at Florida is good. I mean, they play a bunch of good quarterbacks. So it's going to be tough to win 9 games. I think they're better, but I think I wouldn't even say it's marginal. I think if they played this team last year, this team played last year's team, they might win by 10 or 14 points. That to me isn't marginally better. But the record might say that they're just marginally better. Is that a good way to couch it? Did I qualify that enough?
Well done. I got it. All right. Yeah, we mentioned
But it's a
this.
fair question.
Yes.
I get it. It's a fair question. And this year's team, I don't think, would be in a game with Jacksonville State in the fourth quarter, no matter how they screwed it up at the end. The fact that it was even a game in the fourth quarter was a testament to the where that program was at that time and how bad that roster was. Certainly with that guy playing quarterback. No offense, McKenzie. But this year they are better than that team.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. If they are much better and they won 5 games, and surely 8 should be kind of like a doable thing. But it's football. I don't know. I don't want to get your guys' hopes up too much. Here's the thing. If I say they're going to win 10 games and they end up winning 6, no one will really get mad at me. But if I say they're only going to win 5 and I keep hammering 5 or 6 and they end up winning 9 or 10, everyone's going to be like, oh, Aslan, you're such a hater. You're always negative. This is why we don't listen to you. So I should just be like this overwhelming fountain geyser of optimism and joy, but I'm trying to be a little bit practical here. I mean, just these are good teams they're going up against. And like to Corey's point, they won some of the close ones, they lost some of the close ones. So even if you're much better, we're not saying they're I mean, I guess much, it's really an objective term. It's an objective term, right?
Yeah, much is
subjective.
Subjective. It is very subjective. Like some people could think that means they're going to be a top 20 team in the country or top 10 team in the country. That would be much better. Yeah. Like, did you hear the emphasis? Much better.
Yeah, right.
They might just be, they're better. They're a top 25. They're a top 28 team, but they're not going to be much better to where they're a top 10 team. And if they're challenging for 9 or 10 wins, they're challenging to be a top 10 team in the regular season anyway. And that's just not what this team is going to be this year, in my opinion. I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they go 12-0.
I do too. Noldad 4L. I think that means like for life. I like it. Wake up, dudes. Longtime listener. Now I'm back as a subscriber after a few years off. It's amazing how $1 can bring you back in so quickly.
Preach.
Welcome back. Don't leave this time. Stick around, man. He's from DeLand, Florida, home to Larry Chipper Jones, Trey Thomas, and Jacob DeGrom. Solid.
I didn't know Jacob DeGrom was from there.
I didn't do a fact check on it, but we'll go with it. First, I want to say that I love Corey's energy, but I feel like I relate to Aslan the most. You guys are the best pair regardless, and I can't wait to hear you guys talking about a natty together when we win it all in 2024. Amen, brother.
How are we going to celebrate, Aslan? I can't even imagine. We're both getting on tender that night.
He's joking, Stephanie. He's joking. He loves you. Question for the week. Which position group do you think will benefit the most if the second and third string is able to get some reps against the Dukes? That is Duquesne. I feel like it could be the quarterback or offensive line group. Just getting more and more meaningful reps at those positions could mean the difference in 5 wins or 8 wins. Go Noles, use that $1 in your couch to subscribe to Warchant. So what position group do you think will benefit the most if the second and third teamers can get some burn against Duquesne?
Yeah, I think that's offensive line, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think? I mean, Rodemaker, too, would be big for him to get, 4, 5, 6 series in a real game again and have some real success. Not just get in there and hand the ball off, but have some real success, I think could be big for him. But the offensive line getting real reps, because, some of those guys are going to be new guys. They're going to be freshmen or redshirt freshmen, and getting them into the mix to actually play on a Saturday in a in a stadium that's not a slight on FSU fans. It's Duquesne. I get it. It's not going to be a full stadium.
Big game the following week too.
Yeah, yeah, but it's a game that matters, that counts in a big football stadium. So I just think getting them any sort of experience is so important for an offensive lineman. And the reason I say that too is I don't foresee, if they have a set 5 or 6 offensive linemen and they can stay healthy, you don't do a lot of mixing and matching on the offensive line. You usually ride with those guys. The defensive line, all those backups play. The linebackers, I think those 2 backups are going to play, and I think you're going to have a mix of secondary guys that play that don't start. But the offensive line, if they're healthy and they like what's going on, I think you're going to ride with those 5 or 6 guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to take advantage of an opportunity when they do get a chance to go play, and they're not playing because somebody got hurt or somebody's sick or somebody's being terrible and can't block this guy. They're not being thrown into anything. They get an actual chance to go compete with a little bit less pressure, but they still get to experience playing college football.
I'll go defensive line just to not zag, but just to maybe go a little bit off the course. I just think like Patrick Payton and those guys, Josh Farmer, although Josh Farmer's going to probably be in that 2 deep that gets heavy rotation, but that is second string according to the question, so I am falling within the parameters. But those guys, again, some reps, I think will be huge because they're going to, if Patrick Payton can emerge and give you some good reps off the edge, I mean, that's, we feel good about where Derek McClellan is and Jared Verse is going to be and what Dennis Briggs will be. So if you can add to that, that's obviously a really good thing. So, because remember, like Quayshawn Fuller came in a couple games and had a couple TFLs and had a couple sacks. So that's your job, Patrick Payton. Go get a sack against LSU. Get a TFL against Clemson. Swing the momentum. And hold on to it, offense. Hold on to it. Armchair Osceola, wake up. Good news, bad news situation. Your boy had to undergo ACL reconstruction surgery last week due to my weekend warrior pursuits, and I just had to drop $99 on some physical therapy. However, since the Warchant annual subscription is now only $1, I'm obviously buying that. It was like I got the PT sessions for free.
There you go. Nice. Good way to think of it.
Yeah, my man. Question: if Jordan Travis anticipates leaving school and attempting to go pro, whatever level he chooses, at the end of the season, what would that say about his performance and the performance of Florida State as a whole this year? I found that if we find ourselves in a situation where Jordan Travis has a shot to take his game into the 5th or 6th round of the NFL, doesn't that mean FSU won 8 or 9 games and played in a decent bowl? What do you think? Keep up the good work. Go Noles.
I mean, I think it means that the offense performed at a much higher level. Much. There we go. I'm emphasizing a much there.
Okay.
If he's going pro and getting drafted, then yeah, I think that means that the offense performed at a higher level and he performed at a higher level. I can't equate that. I don't think you're drafted on wins necessarily. You are drafted on production, though. He can't be out there, and he was efficient last year, but he can't be out there throwing for 180 yards a game and think that he's going to get drafted. But if he throws for 240 a game or 250, which is still probably below par for Power 5 football these days, at least in the ACC, it would seem. But if he can up his game that much and the numbers that much and show, that he's grown as a passer and a quarterback, then I think that means the offense is averaging a touchdown more per game. And if they're averaging a touchdown more per game, then I think the wins will come. But I don't think it's necessarily tied to wins. I just think it's tied to it. It would be tied to the offense performing really well. Now they could average 35 a game, and the defense gives up 40 a game. Then you're not, he's not going because he won 9 games. But I think if the offense is averaging a touchdown more, he's throwing for 250, 240 on the regular to go along with his athleticism. It's not going anywhere. I think that would be what it would be tied to.
Okay. I don't know, man. Yeah, if he goes in the 5th round, I think that we've had a really good quarterback. And I know Corey's correct in what he's saying, but I got faith in the defense. I don't think the defense is going to take that big of a step back that if this offense has a quarterback who's a 5th round NFL draft pick, won't be able to compensate for it. So, yeah, I'll go ahead. I mean, if you guys draft in the 5th round, Florida State's won 9 games. I'll say that.
Well, think about it. I mean, I know you can't do it. You can't do math like this necessarily, but just say that Florida State averaged a touchdown more per game last year. Well, they beat Jacksonville State. They beat Notre Dame. They beat Clemson. They beat Florida. I mean, that's 9 wins right there. So, yeah, I mean, averaging another touchdown a game, especially in ACC play, if you can average another touch just in ACC conference games, that would be enormous. And, yes, it would probably lead to at least three or four more wins.
Drill Sergeant Porter, wake up! I made the dollar cut. We feel that the best start to our season is 3-0, obviously, or maybe 2-1. Worst case would be 1-2. I feel like we can handle Louisville, but this team hasn't really proven anything in a long time. Well, you should put in parentheses there, on the road, really. So the question is, do you feel we are more likely to beat Louisville if we've got the confidence of a 2-0 start or the urgency of being 1-1 with a must-win mindset? Thank you both. Go Noles. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's a good question.
What do you think? I want to hear your answer.
Yeah, I feel like the 1-1 must-win mindset. I don't know. I don't think this team is fragile to where if they lose to LSU, they're going to be like, oh, here we go again. We're not as good as we thought we were. But they'll have that extra week of preparation. I just think it'll really be kind of like a reset. Like, hey, you know, we experienced this last year. Like, we were close. We didn't win. We felt okay. But no, F that. Like, we got to come out. We got to win this game because we still control all of our goals. We can still win a state championship. We can still win our conference. We can win our division. You want to start a little smaller, a little more macro or micro, rather. So, listen, I'd rather be 2-0. But in this exercise, in this question, I feel like if they're 1-1, I think there'll be a little bit more of a chip on the shoulder with a must-win mindset. I'll go with that. I guess it's probably like a glass full, half empty kind of thing. So, where you at, Corey?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to play that kind of psychology. I think that they go into. I think they'll go into every game. You would hope that it's a must win. Coming off a loss to LSU, but then they have what? They get a week off, right?
Yeah.
So that, I don't know, man. I've never liked when if you lose a game and then you have to fester for an extra week. You'd like to get right back out there, I think, and I don't know if that benefits them a week off to not be able to play right away. So it festers with you. And then you have to think about, read about, listen to a loss for 13 days. And that's, that maybe isn't great for a mindset. But hopefully this team is mentally tough enough, because they certainly preach it, that they're mentally tough enough that it really doesn't matter what the mindset is. They're going to play the same way. Whether they're 2-0 or 1-1 or 0-2, they're going to play the same way. We'll see. That's easy to say. If they're 0-2, we're canceling the show. But if they're 1-1 with that, would you rather? Hey, how about this, Aslan? Would you rather be 1-1 with a loss to Duquesne and a win over LSU, or vice versa?
You can't lose to Duquesne. The LSU
what if
win
you
is
can
not good
if you
enough.
Come back and beat LSU
no,
the next week?
It's not good. That's humiliating. Your recruiting is done. You don't lose. You lose to Duquesne, you're being made fun of the whole week. You beat LSU, but then it's an afterthought. It's like what Brian Kelly, whatever, his first year, their first game. It will be spun in a most negative light for FSU nationally. We'll feel good about it in our echo chamber. FSU Twitter will feel good about it. I don't think recruits will feel good about it. You lose to Duquesne.
But if you're talking about momentum, if you're carrying that momentum,
yeah,
you're carrying that big win over LSU momentum. Nobody thought you were probably 20-point underdog. Nobody thought you had a chance. You go win in New Orleans, all of a sudden you're feeling great about yourself, and you go on a run for the rest of the year. Hey, that could happen too, buddy. We'll see. But, yeah, you're right. Don't lose to Duquesne.
Yeah. I get it, though. If you're 2-0, you're like, all right, watch out, world. Here we come. And then you go into Louisville just like, man, we're going to put it on them. Sunday Gold. Wake up. First-time poster, long-time listener. I live in Amelia Island, but I'm originally from a small town 15 miles east of Lake City called Olustee. Shout out to him. He gave me a pronouncer for it. Like it's spelled Olustee, but then he gave me a pronouncer with like OH and then Lusty.
Okay,
so,
nice.
There we go. Shout
well
out.
Done.
Not a lot of famous people from this town at 200, but it's home of the largest Civil War battle fought in Florida. They have a reenactment festival every February. Neat.
I'll be honest. I didn't know the Civil War made its way down to Florida.
I would have figured, yeah. I think we
all
fought.
Right, all right.
My question is trying to give me a reality check on the flavor aid. Which of the following, if any, are most likely to happen? Buckle up. Here we go. We got 4 options. What's most likely to happen? He's a little bit of a negative Nancy. He apologizes at the end. But these practice reports make me feel like 7 and 5 would be a disappointment. So here we go. One, Jordan Travis hit his ceiling last year, and he's still a 1 or 2 read quarterback. So what's most likely that? 2, Duke Cooper hits a sophomore slump. So this is him just kind of guarding against the optimism.
I got you. I got you.
3, the pass rush production has a much steeper drop-off than we realize, and everything, including the secondary, looks worse because of it. 4, none of these receivers are athletic enough to consistently win one-on-one battles. Ouch. Come on, man.
What was the third one?
The pass rush is a big drop-off, and everything, including the secondary, looks worse. Duke Cooper hits a slump. Jordan Travis hit his ceiling last year. What's most likely of all those? I think the receivers are athletic. They'll win. They can win one-on-one battles. That's likely. The pass rush, I guess, could be a little bit steeper, and then more time for quarterbacks to throw. I just, again, man, they're saying Jordan Travis has done everything great. I just think that he's, if his ceiling was second half of last year, this team is going to probably win 7 or 8 games, which is about on par with what I think they'll do this year. So I would say that's most likely.
Yeah, I think that would probably be. And number 2 is the defensive ends. I think. I would think, but that's because we're having to answer this question. We're not saying that it is likely.
Yes, correct. Yes,
we're saying it's the most likely of these scenarios. That yes,
these
that maybe
negative
Jordan
scenarios
Travis
from Sunday Gold. These really negative scenarios from Sunday Gold. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
man.
we got to do what we got to do, though. Sunday Gold wants an answer. We're going to give him an answer. I would say Travis is probably the most likely of those scenarios, but I'm not saying that it's likely. There you go. That was a political answer, right?
My man. Gville Knoll, how would you rate our line or project the offensive line against our opponents? That's tough. I haven't scouted out the defensive lines yet of the opponents there. We have a good defensive line, but then we got to take on Clemson, LSU. There'll be a whole nother level beyond Wake, BC, etc. For the purpose of this question, you kind of have tier 1 teams like Clemson and LSU, which I don't know, man, about LSU. Good, but I don't know if they're
traditionally maybe what they've had at offensive line, I guess. Or he's talking about defensive line.
Yeah, just like, defensive line. And then 2, there'll be the tier 2 teams like Wake and Boston College, NC State, and Louisville. Against these tier 2 teams, does the offensive line actually look not just acceptable, but actually good? Do we open holes for the running backs? Jordan get time? How good do you think they will be against the tier 1 teams? Average, acceptable, unable to get a push, have difficulty, but not be completely embarrassing like jailbreak when the ball is snapped. Anyways, was wondering how you saw the offensive line or how you saw them performing against our actual opponents. I don't think they'll be embarrassed at any point. I don't even think Clemson's going to come and embarrass them. I don't think they'll be embarrassed against LSU. They said they're going to get sacked. There's going to be breakdowns in the pocket. It happens. But I think the offensive line will hold up well against even Clemson and LSU. And, yeah, man, against BC and actually NC State, who knows? Maybe Corey Durden's always going to play tough. I like where the offensive line is going to be. But, again, I haven't scouted out the defensive lines to look at that side of the coin. But I'm not holding on for dear life against any of these teams thinking, oh, gosh, we have no chance. There's going to be no time, no lanes open. I don't feel that's the case with the offensive line, even with all the injuries they're dealing with right now.
I think that when you look at with those defensive lines, man, they're tough for good offensive lines to block. So when you're just pretty good or decent or average, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to block them for 60 minutes. There are going to be negative plays. There just are. Those defensive linemen are all going to the NFL on some of these teams. They will make negative plays. They have to. I think, and I don't expect this offensive line to be very good against those teams. They can be good enough to win the game. I'm not saying that, but they're not going to line up and wow, they're just dominating this game. Look at they're just imposing their will. Jordan Travis sitting back there for 7 seconds. That's not happening. It's not going to happen. I think the better gauge is what do they look like against the middle of the road defensive lines. Will they push them out of the way? Will they dominate? They were good enough last year in some of these games. They ran for a lot of yards, but can they dominate games? That's what I think that's the next step to where you become you've gone from the worst offensive line we've ever seen to horrible to pretty terrible to last year you were about average. Can you take another step and be pretty good? And I think a pretty good offensive line goes into a Georgia Tech game and pushes those guys around. I think they go and they can push a Louisville around a little bit. I think they can, these aren't elite defensive lines. So that I think is the next step. I still think you're a year or two away from having a line that could compete and win consistently against NFL prospect laden defensive linemen.
Rans for Noles, no question. Just want to give an appreciation for all the content you guys provide. 5 stars in my book. Well, how about you put in the official book? That's like Apple. Put a 5-star.
But even if you don't,
rating.
we appreciate the comment. But yeah, go ahead. Listen to Aslan. Do what he said.
As the guy in the TV commercial from RoboCop says, I'd buy that for $1, and I did. I re-upped. I am used to all the content I have come to love from you guys, Corey, Ira, Jeff, Tom, and Dot. But one of the new things I'm looking forward to is the watch-alongs with Dominic Robinson. I went back and watched one of his breakdowns with Ira from the spring, and I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to syncing it up with the live game cast this fall. I don't want to have to listen to some of these yahoos they put on the games these days. Shallow pool, I guess. Anyway, thanks for all you do, and go Noles. Thank you, Rans. Appreciate you, man. He was from the old network, and he's at the new network. You're the man. It's for everybody. It's $1 for everybody, everybody. Got it?
Yep.
Come on. Come over, please.
Warchant on 3.
Okie,
Google it. Make it your friend.
Okie Nole. Wake up. First-time subscriber here. First-time question posted on the Express. Big fan of both you guys. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Okie Nole. I'm from Valdosta, Georgia, home of the Seminole legend Greg Reed, Telvin Smith, and Tyler Hunter. Shout out. My question, if we could pick one out of those 3 players, who would make the biggest impact on this team in the present? He's got an NCAA 14 season going on. He updated the rosters. Jared Verse currently leads the team in TFLs in the dynasty mode. So,
okay. Nice. There you go, Verse. Verse can fit in on that team.
Yeah.
Is he saying who we'd want out of the 3 he just mentioned?
Greg Reed, Telvin Smith, Tyler Hunter.
Telvin. I would have said Greg last year because of the punt return prowess.
Correct.
But I think now you've got a guy that'll at least go catch him. And that's most of the battle when it comes to returning punts these days. So I will say, and I don't know.
Although I don't know, man. Would he be like your nickel corner? And I love Kevin Knowles. Or would he be your opposite corner? I mean, you got Duke Cooper and Greg Reed and then Jamie Robinson and Keem Dent on the back end. I'm not saying no-fly zone, but
A.Z. Thomas. Yeah, but I still think Telvin's an all-pro, man.
Yeah, him and Tatum Bethune.
I think Telvin and Tatum Bethune's a pretty good linebacking core.
Okay. You're right. Was he really all-pro, Telvin? Pro bowler.
I think so, yeah. He's definitely a pro bowler. I think he led the NFL in tackles one year. I'll look it up.
Look that up. I'll find this next question. We'll go to I Am Ira. But it's not Ira Schofel. It's not the great Ira Schofel, but their name is I Am Ira. Wow, it's been a while since I posted. Subscriber since 2013. Listen to every video you guys put out. My wife surprised me for my birthday and bought me a ticket to the Clemson game. 50-yard line, 20 rows up. Also reserved a hotel so that I can go to the corner pocket and meet you guys. I'm very hopeful that the entire gang will be there, and I'll get to meet you all. Clemson game. Okay, we'll see. Maybe if game day's in town, I'm sure we'll do like a real big blowout for that. But if not, it's a home game. Friday nights, happy hour, Jeff and Corey. And shoot us a message on the ponies. I'll come out there too if you want to hang out with me. Since, your wife got you a ticket for your birthday and surprised you, so we'll be team players. I think my wife even emailed you guys about me participating in the show. I laughed and said, honey, I appreciate your sentiment, but I don't think that'll happen. But she tried. It was hilarious. That sounds familiar. I feel like I got an email from someone's wife about the husband show, but you're here. It's $1. You come to the Clemson game. Everything's great. Anyways, after spending well over $1,000, it won't be worth it unless I can meet you guys. Really hope to see you there. And furthermore, hoping for a big FSU win to cement our return to relevance, Aslan, in college football. Amen, I Am Ira. Is your name really Ira, though? Or are you just trying to... we got the swipe left on Aslan guy. We got I Am Ira. Yeah. Is somebody going to do, Scott Clark or something? Who knows?
Let's hope not.
What do you got, Corey, on your research?
He was a pro bowler. I couldn't see if he led the league in tackles, but he was a pro bowler in 2017.
All right.
So, but I think he led. I swear he led the league in tackles once. But that was a. So he said he was going to meet. I was doing a lot of reading while you were talking. It was a long question. The Clemson game, right?
Yeah.
So is he going to come for the happy hour at Corner Pocket?
Well, he wants to meet up with all of us, so that's probably his best shot.
That's probably the best idea. Yeah, come watch. Jeff and I will be at the Corner Pocket from 5 to 6 or 5:30 to 6:30. I'm not sure exactly when it starts. We'll let you know as we get closer to the season. So later this week. when those will be. But yeah, man, come by, say hello for sure. We're nice people.
Let's go to Jamaican Noel. Shout out Jamaica. Wake up. Justin in San Diego here from Pensacola, longtime poster since 2007 under the name Noles756. I brought back my late father's original Warchant name in his honor for the new site. He was on since the beginning, an alum and a proud Golden Chief. Shout out to your dad then. That's awesome.
That is awesome. That is cool.
Okay. And no, we are not Jamaican. His name was Jim Aiken, so it had a nice ring to it.
Jamaican. That's awesome.
Fantastic. Anyways, 2000 Clemson game was on the other night. I watched it. Wow. Didn't realize what I was watching as a kid when I was in Doak. We were absolutely stacked. Every position. 40-7 up in the game, showing off depth. Good times. Yeah, man.
Those were good times. That was the Winky to Snoop play, too.
That's right. Can't wait to see everybody in New Orleans. Hope to see some similar results this season with the backups playing in a couple games, or rather playing in a couple weeks versus the Dukes. Beat everyone. Go Noles.
Amen. Beat them all.
That's right.
Beat them all. Don't specify. Just beat them all.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Last one. Look at that.
We made it.
We did.
We made it.
Okay. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe we'll leave the thread up in a little bit longer. Anyhow, Raw Dog 2Gs1. I'm originally from Vidalia, Louisiana. Vidalia?
I would say Vidalia. I know there's a Vidalia in Georgia, and that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah. The onions, the Vidalia onions, yeah.
Yep. World famous.
Longtime Noles fan, same name from the old site. Famous people from Vidalia. Keith Woodside, running back from the 80s, went to A&M, then on to the Packers. Okay, shout out Keith Woodside.
All right. Okay.
Question.
That was the end of the list?
Yeah.
I just thought you said famous people.
Yeah, that's all you got.
So it's just the one. All right, that's cool, man. It's a small town, man. It's cool that you got one.
I'm gonna look up the wiki after I read this question. Everyone says quarterback most important position in football, but it seems to me in college football it's your offensive line. They make it so you can get top level quarterbacks, and they make it possible for your skill players to perform. They also help mold the defense. The defensive line, which is the foundation of the defense. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't disagree, but I think it's 5 players as opposed to the one. I think if you could ask any football coach that's ever lived, would you rather have 5 great offensive linemen and an average quarterback, or 5 average offensive linemen and a great quarterback? I feel like they choose the 5 great linemen. Yeah. Because it does open up everything, and it makes an average quarterback good. And it makes an average offense great. It makes a good offense great. If you can have 5 great linemen, if you have a great offensive line, you can do anything. The world is your oyster. Go live your life. I mean, that would be incredible. It really does matter a lot. So, but I mean, but again, I still think the single most important position in sports is quarterback. It's just the one guy. Collectively, as a unit, offensive line is very, very, very important. It's a very good point too about what it does for your defensive line.
They've talked about it. I mean, was it Fabian that talked about the other day about going up against just even the second teamers this year is completely different, the offensive line, than what they did
and just last year. It makes sense too though. Think about that 13 team. You had NFL guys on both sides of the ball going after each other. Well, that made them better. Clearly, of course it did. Of course Brian Stewart got better if he's having to try to block Timmy Jernigan. And the games are easy when you're not having to block Timmy Jernigan, or you're not blocking Mario Edwards on the edge and those big behemoths that they had. Of course. So having an offensive line that can you have a defensive line in practice that goes up against a really good unit, it's going to make Saturdays much easier for them. So yeah, again though, I still think the one position. I mean, I don't think it's I don't think it's exaggeration or hyperbole to say that quarterback is the single most important position in sports. Because it can hide a lot of faults, and you have a great quarterback, he can make average wide receivers look pretty good, but you can only be so good with an average offensive line. Yeah, you can win championships with an average quarterback if you have a great offensive line. I don't think you can win a championship with an average offensive line.
Right. Yeah, that was what I was going to try to say there. I think like Alabama's illustrated that in the past. But in the
Yes.
present here, they've had good quarterback play. They've had some first round. They had several first round picks. Bryce Young's gonna be a first round pick. Tua, Mac Jones.
Yeah, but they've also had really good offensive lines.
Yeah, they've had both. But I mean, they were able to win with Jacob Coker and
Yes.
AJ McCarron with really good offensive line.
Well, look and I like Stetson Bennett. I think he's a pretty good player, but
yeah.
he just won a national championship, and they have Georgia had a very, very good offensive line and an all-time defense.
I will just say, I think with where Florida State's at right now, like if I had the if you could have gotten Caleb Williams, like that changes things for you. Like we're not trying to, we're trying to win a national championship, but we're realistic here. It's probably not. It's good. We're gonna fall a little bit short of that this year probably. To get to a national championship, I want a really good quarterback and I want a great elite offensive line. But with Florida State like chasing 8 or 9 wins, I think if you have like a really transcendently good quarterback, that's one thing you have to go get. That puts you in a much better position to achieve that goal rather than trying to get 5 NFL offensive linemen. So,
yeah, it's much easier. Yeah, for sure. But, yes, absolutely. It's a lot easier to go get one good guy than 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you're chasing 9 wins, like you can win 9 games with a decent offense, like a okay offensive line and a great quarterback. Look at Pitt. I don't think Pitt's offensive line, I don't think any of those guys went to the NFL. They had a really good quarterback, man. And they also had a really good wide receiver, too.
Who's now playing with Caleb Williams.
Yeah. So look at how that all works.
Full circle.
Yeah. All right. We will not have practice observations for you tomorrow because there's no practice today. But we got plenty of stuff going on over at warchant.com. All your recruiting news is over there. The Jeff Cameron show is going 1 to 3 o'clock. And then on Tuesday, headlines. Correct, Corey?
Correct, buddy. Correct. We don't sleep. We don't sleep at warchant.com, man. We're providing content every day.
Yeah. So, again,
lots of it.
They'll be off Monday, then they're back at it on Tuesday, and then practicing through the week. I think they have another scrimmage on Saturday, too, if I'm not mistaken. But, no, do they? I don't think they do. Yeah,
no,
because I'm going home.
It's labeled as a practice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I'm going home for my birthday.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go. Nice, buddy.
Yeah, Friday right after practice. Zoom gone. Apparently we're going to go to Burns. Never been to Burns all my life.
Oh, man. How about that? You've lived down there a long time, buddy.
Yeah.
You never made it up?
Yeah, well, the big 4-0, man. My mom's like, well, let's do something cool. I'm like, let's
All
go
right.
to
You're going to you get to go to the dessert house, too.
Yeah, the dessert room. Yeah.
And then Mons afterwards? Not with your parents, obviously. I just, maybe.
I don't know. Mom might want to get weird. She's retired. She's kind of bored.
Hey, man, whatever it is, talk about it on the show the next day.
The phone situation has resolved itself. You guys heard at the beginning of the show, so that's always good to know. So, all right, we're done. That's it for the show. We'll have a live one for you as well later on the week. We'll probably have Tom on the show tomorrow since it is Tuesday. Tuesdays with Tom. Maybe they'll triumphant return. If not, it'll be Ira. Anyhow, that's Corey. I'm Aslan. Stay connected to warchant.com. Go and subscribe. Go to the website, warchant.com. It's around the front page. Boom, $1. You can either get $1 and you get a whole year of access, or you can pay $1 and get 4 months.
Yep. We know what you're going to choose because you're smart, because you're listening to this show. So we know you're going to go the full year.
Yeah. It's been Wake Up Warchant presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.